Greetings. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. We got it.
We got it. I had a little bit of a rough time getting in there. Look at that.
Hey, I'm glowing and growing.
There you go. There you go. All right. So to all of our listeners and viewers, in honor of Hair Loss Awareness Month, today we are privileged to be joined by Dr. Rabin, the visionary mind behind the revolutionary laser cap. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Lovely hair, by the way.
Thank you. You know,
you're either a serious user or you don't need it.
Well, I'm in both. I do need it.
Okay.
This is extensions. So
I see. Very
but
nice.
up here I'm getting a little bit. So I'm gonna be a user for sure.
Cool.
All right. So I have my little cheat sheet here.
Fantastic.
And before I get started, I don't know how much you know about me, or once I upload this video, whenever people view it, how much they'll know about me. So I want to go a little bit over my background.
Please.
I have been in the salon industry for over 15 years, and I have been a Goldwell master colorist. So I mainly helped women, and they would sit in my chair, and almost half of them would struggle with hair loss. And we're not really trained in cosmetology school on how to diagnose or treat hair loss conditions. So I felt defeated by not being able to help them. And I would offer them extensions like this, or hair fibers, which were all temporary fixes, but they really were looking for permanent solutions.
Right.
The extensions, as you know, only help with the length and the fullness. They don't address the top. They don't address the underlying issue. And the hair fibers are messy, and they actually clog the follicles. Any growth that you can have is now completely suffocated. So like a lot of people during the pandemic, we kind of figured out a new path in our life, right? And I came across scalp micropigmentation. And I knew in my heart that was exactly what I needed to do, because I felt so defeated. I couldn't help my clients when they came to me. So I've been doing that for a little over 2 years now. And even still doing that, I still feel a void, because not everybody's a candidate for scalp micropigmentation. Some people can't do it for health concerns. So then I'm left with this whole other empty pocket of people that are like, well, what can I do? Right. So now I'm studying trichology, and that is going to give me a full circle to actually be able to help everybody. And scalp micropigmentation is just going to be a tool that I can offer them.
Exactly.
So I'm super excited about my journey, and how I've come full circle to learn about the laser cap, because the results are absolutely astounding. So let's go over the hair loss statistics. So according to the American Hair Loss Association, 2/3 of men will experience some degree of hair loss by the age of 35. Right. By the age of 50, approximately 85% of men will have significant hair loss. And according to the American Academy of Dermatology, over 40% of women will experience some sort of hair loss or thinning by the age of 40. So if you think about that age 40, that is really young, and to have that percentage is astounding.
Right,
so having conversations like that we're having today just goes to highlight just how widespread the issue is. So having open conversations like this, it's crucial to have them, because then we can stop it before it even starts.
Right. Well, yeah, prevention or early treatment can certainly slow it. You know, it's a genetic issue. Obviously, it's testosterone mediated in men, partially testosterone mediated in women. Yep. But certainly with early intervention, early detection, early diagnosis, and early treatment, while you still have the hair is growing in those follicles, because the whole process is a thinning process. You don't lose the hair. It just gets progressively thinner and thinner. And the growth phase is shorter and shorter. You'll find that your women with the hair loss, they can't grow their hair long. Right. Because it sheds before it grows any significant length. And when it comes back, it's thinner. Yep. And that's the problem. And so with now that you recognize the problem. You can detect it, you can diagnose it, get them on medical treatments.
Yep.
Get them on medical treatment. LaserCap is a primary medical treatment
Right.
for androgenetic alopecia, for male and female pattern loss.
Yep.
Topical minoxidil over the counter, prescription topicals, very good. Some nutritional supplements, very good.
Absolutely.
I call it the triad. Photomed Pharma Food. Photomed Pharma Food. So the food or the supplements, but Photomed, all your women with hair loss, your men with hair loss, all of them should be on the photomedicine, the photobiomodulation.
Yeah.
And LaserCap is really the device of choice.
Yeah.
The highest energy. I also use the mantra photons to the follicles. You've got to get photons. You got to get that light energy to the follicles. And the consumer devices, there's a lot of LaserCap knockoffs, copies. We're flattered. I'm flattered, but they're underpowered.
Yeah.
And so consumers should steer away from those devices.
Yes, I have that. We'll get to that in a minute.
Sure.
But I want to go back in time. What, 2006 was when you came to?
Correct.
2006, you and three other doctors, Mike Hamlin.
Well, Hamlin at Harvard, Dave Smith, an MIT optical physicist, and Bob Haber, who's a world-renowned hair restoration physician, dermatologist. I put together that team to create LaserCap. Yeah.
So from 2006, it came to on market at 2010.
Late 2009, we debuted in Amsterdam.
Nice.
At the ISHRS meeting, International Society of Hair Restoration Surgeon meeting in Amsterdam. And Hamlin was actually on the podium. The Harvard guy was on the podium talking about photobiomodulation. Well, LLLT at that time, low level laser treatment for hair regrowth.
Right.
Talking about mechanism. And so it was a nice 1-2 punch we debuted there.
Sure. So that was the first LLLT product of its kind. LaserCap was the first.
The pioneer in this was the laser comb, where the Hair Max folks, they had a laser comb.
Yeah.
That inspired me. That got a de novo FDA clearance in 2007. I created my company in 2006, initially thinking about how could we deliver. It was actually, I had conceived of a liquid cap, which would deliver topicals in a kind of a less messy manner, more consistent manner. And then at the same time, I saw the Hair Max laser comb was FDA cleared for hair regrowth. Combing your hair 15 minutes, 9 lasers, it was ridiculous.
People want
ridiculously underpowered, ridiculously inconvenient. And I said, okay, I got to do a LaserCap.
Absolutely. No one wants, we want hands-free, we want anything that's going to cause us to have to do something. We're not going to do it. The LaserCap you just put on and you watch Netflix.
And so underpowered. It just was
right.
But they got the clearance. I was inspired. I said, all right, team, we're going to do a LaserCap.
That's awesome.
And so we developed it was not easy to engineer it. I mean, we pack a lot of, there's a lot of lasers in a small area. There's a lot of heat you have to manage, and other aspects. We're overdriving the laser, high peak power. A lot of engineering went into it. Took us a few years to work out the details, but then we're able to debut in late 2009.
That's amazing. And I love that the LaserCap is only sold to doctors, surgeons, dermatologists, trichologists, scalp micropigmentation artists, because first of all, like you were saying, the lasers aren't as powerful. The mechanism isn't as strong. So you're wasting money because you're getting ahead. Yeah, it's cheaper and you're not going to get anywhere. And then it's also important to note that there could be melanoma. For females, you might not see something in the scalp.
Right. Need proper diagnosis.
Yeah.
You need to look for, the one contraindication is any active neoplasm on the scalp. And of course, if someone has a melanoma, you better identify that and get them to the dermatologist right
Absolutely.
away. So
yeah, people think that they're getting ahead and they're buying it off Amazon, and and they're not realizing that they need to get a proper diagnosis. Like you said, it's so important.
for sure, for sure.
All right, so what sets LaserCap apart? We know that we just talked about the ones on Amazon and the other name brands out there, but the energy light source, let's talk about a little bit about that.
Sure, sure. So I overdrive the laser for high peak power. I pulse it to manage the warmth. You see it's pulsing.
Yep.
The the knockoffs could do that, but they don't understand the engineering, the light physics. They just don't want to be bothered with it. The laser cap devices require a more sophisticated circuit. We have to manage the warmth associated with overdriving, and the knockoffs don't want to be bothered.
Right.
They just want to sell to unwitting consumers. So we're really set apart with how we drive the laser. Also in the construction, we've got it's a very thin, flexible shell. When you put it down on your head, it really conforms to the scalp. It's very comfortable. The inner liner is engineered to be very clear, very little light loss through the liner, very comfortable. It's flexible.
Yeah.
I have an optics lab in my facility where I evaluate all the knockoff devices. They're always sent to me. Doctors will send them to me. Some of these devices, in addition to being underpowered, it's like putting a bowl on your head. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now, maybe if you have just the right head size, it's going to work for you, but it's incredibly uncomfortable. It's a whole range of head sizes.
Sure.
And this with this flexibility that we have, it's designed to really conform. When you push down on the hat, it's designed to conform. So
now I saw I was searching YouTube and stuff, and I did see a while back you did have a laser cap that kind of opened up and it buttoned down. It's different than the
no, I have that. That's a private label. Let me see if I've got I've got a this is
that's unbelievable.
That's a private label. That's flat manufactured. I private label that for this particular one's for Bauman Medical. But that's a similar tech. And then there's a front connector band. Let me see if I've got that. Yeah, here we go. There's the assembled. Yeah, there's the assembled. And that cap is it's the same as my high energy HD Plus. But again, it's got this front connector band that you can change for small, medium, large. Women's head is small, so we would use the small band.
Right.
Some men's heads are quite large. We'd use an extra large band, and so you can adjust the size that hugs the head. A lot more expensive. I call this a low volume, high cost manufacturing.
It's
difficult to manufacture, so the price point's a bit high.
Right.
But some patients in Boca Raton, Dr. Bauman is world renowned. People flying from all over the world to see him, and so they'll buy this. But the HD Plus, I'm wearing the HD. Oh, I gotta hook up my power again. I'm wearing the HD, and the HD is similar, just a slightly less energy than the HD Plus, and slightly less coverage. But the HD Plus has got similar energy to we call that the Turbo or the MC2.
Okay.
That flat manufactured thing. So you get a good value with the HD Plus, HD or HD Plus.
Yeah. All right, let's get nerdy with some scientific facts.
Sure.
Mitochondria and photobiomodulation.
Okay. So people ask, well, what is the mechanism? What is the mechanism of action? And if you ask Hamblin, he'll give you the simple answer is improved cellular respiration.
Okay.
Improved cellular respiration. So the more technical answer to that is that, okay, you've got light energy. In this case, it's red. It's 650 nanometer. A certain portion of it will penetrate the scalp. It'll reach the level of the follicles. It'll hit the cells in the follicular organ. These cells have mitochondria, which are these little, they're kind of referred to as the engines of the cell. They produce the fuel and kind of run I guess the respiration of the cell. And within those mitochondria, there's this biochemical process called the Krebs cycle, which makes the fuel, which is ATP. And so the light hits a certain cytochrome, certain biochemical in the mitochondria, which converts it from photoenergy to biochemical energy. It revs up the Krebs cycle.
Yep.
So you get more ATP production, then this whole cascade of biochemical events, which is way beyond my scope. Hamlin could talk for an hour on it. And so it just results in better breathing, better functioning hair follicles.
It wakes up sleeping like follicles.
Well, the follicles are, they're under attack. In men, it's that DHT effect. In women, it's a similar effect. It's more complex in women. But the follicles are under attack. They're literally getting choked. Some say that the blood supply is getting choked off by these by this genetic process, and the improved cellular respiration counters that choking of the follicle. Yep. Doesn't eliminate it. I mean, you're still under attack. Yeah. You've got to, if you want to battle the DHT, you've got to use, for men, you use finasteride or dutasteride. For postmenopausal women or women on birth control, you can use those anti-androgens as well. Spironolactone is an anti-androgen that can be used with women without regard to their birth state, to their ability to get pregnant. So but this is a different mechanism. The light is a different mechanism. And so the light is, you really want to use the light for all your hair loss patients.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that's getting into, let's see, it's not a one size fits all solution, because we have to take into consideration the stage of which they're in with their hair loss, right?
Right.
So when would you say is the earliest someone can get into and the latest? Like, it's not going to work.
Well, so early is, there's a lot of men who approach us just for prophylaxis. Yeah. They see the odds. 80% of men are going to, have hair loss, 75-80% of men. And so a lot of patients just want prophylaxis. Yeah. And there's other benefits to the light. A little bit, it's got an anti-inflammatory effect. So if they have any sort of scalp condition, it can help that. Tiny bit gets it to the brain, which has an antidepressive effect, increased mental acuity effect. This is the wrong wavelength for intracranial. For intracranial, you want a higher wavelength and even much higher energies. But nevertheless, I still get comments from patients. Hey, I feel better. Not sure if it's growing my hair. I feel better though.
Yeah. And that's it too. Like, we might not see that if they start early, they might not see any results because there's no results to be found. It's just stopping. It's slowing down.
Stabilizing. So
it's stabilizing.
The first hint of hair loss, to the naked eye, folks don't see the hair loss until 50% of their density is gone. Yep. And so for the professional, so you're in the kind of the catbird seat, bird's eye view, so to speak. You can recognize it, and you really have a duty as a professional, stylist, colorist, now soon to be trichologist. You have a duty to diagnose this early.
Absolutely.
And get your patients, get your clients on treatment early. Yep. Yeah. And so that's early. You can't really be too early. With the odds are you're going to have hair loss.
I agree.
And so get it diagnosed and get on treatment. Too late, men who are bald, men who are Norwood, sevens, and once the follicle is atrophied, it's not coming back. You need transplant.
Let me ask you, someone who's had a hair transplant, if a guy had come to me, he had a hair transplant, would this be a device that he would still use?
Absolutely, because men will typically need multiple transplants.
Okay.
You know, the first transplant maybe restore the frontal hairline. They're going to continue to lose all their native hair.
Right.
And so the good hair surgeons will try to stabilize hair loss in men if they're young. They don't want to transplant too early because they're really going to lose a bunch more. So they
Right.
try to get them stabilized, and then at the right time, the right age, 25 to 30 is probably the earliest typically, but it depends.
Yeah.
They'll do that first transplant, but then if those men don't aggressively medically treat, they're going to lose more,
Right.
and they're going to be back in a few years, 3 to 5 years for another transplant.
Right.
Keep
Right.
losing.
Right.
You've got 150,000 hair follicles, 100 to 150,000 hair follicles on your head.
Yeah.
Top of the head is maybe 75,000
Yeah.
hair follicles. The transplants are a couple of thousand follicles.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 to 5,000 follicles is a mega session.
Right. Right.
So how are you going to use 5,000 follicles to cover 75,000?
That's even if they're viable. That's even if they take.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you really got to aggressively. So pre-transplant, post-transplant, no transplant, men,
Right.
women, everybody's got to be medically treated.
Yeah. And it can help with the FUT scar back there too, with the
For
healing.
sure, it can help with wound healing if you
Yeah.
need one that comes down there. But
Yeah.
FUT is not as common anymore. It's mostly FUE.
FUE, yeah.
But there's still some docs that are, traditional docs that are, and
Yeah,
FUT
I just had a guy.
has its advantages too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So now when someone uses it, what would you say? 6 months out, seeing anything?
Well, we have a first year return policy. Any
I love
reason,
it.
no reason at all for 75% of the purchase price. All of our providers participate in that. I mean, they can't opt out, but they all participate in that.
Right.
And so that really it gives the patient peace of mind, the client peace of mind, and
Sure.
it really puts the onus on the provider. Hey, we've got to track this. We got to properly diagnose. We got to properly treat. We've got to properly follow up.
Yeah.
So good baseline photos, sagittal midline, wet the hair, comb it back, parted at the midline for women. For men, just if you just wet it, comb it back, get a good baseline top of head photo in left and right side photos, and then repeat those photos. Control the lighting, hair color, hair length, and monitor the progress. I mean, gross photography is really the best way. I mean, some of the practices, very sophisticated practice like Bauman Medical has a hair check, which measures average diameter in a bundle of hair.
Wow.
That's another way to do it. There's sophisticated trichogram, trichoscopy, photomicrographs where they can do image analysis on them.
Yeah.
But those are reserved for really, those are expensive. That's expensive tooling. And so gross photography is really the way to go.
Okay. All right. So as of now, there are 3 models available, the 80, the 224, and the 304. Now, when a patient is researching it, there's a mathematical equation underneath it. Can we talk about that and how someone can read that, like the average consumer, if they're researching it?
Right. So we're looking at joules of energy. That's the energy, joules per square centimeter, and joules is calculated by the power of the laser, which is in watts or milliwatts in our case, times the time in seconds. And so basically, I just give that calculation. So the SD has got 80 lasers. I'm overdriving to close to 10, and pulsing at a 50% duty. So the average is 5 times 80 is the total power times time in seconds. And we treat 30 minutes every other day. There's a lot of 15-minute every day protocols. So that's the time equals the total joules divide by the coverage.
Yeah.
So those 80 diodes are covering about 500 square centimeters of scalp. and there you derive the joules per square centimeter. So the FD has the much lower power density and energy density than the HD and the HD plus.
Yeah.
And the HD plus is the best. The HD is a close second. It's got a little less coverage. HD's got 224 lasers over 500 square.
Yeah.
HD plus has got 304 lasers over 550 square centimeter. So the HD and the HD plus are comparable in energy per square centimeter in the treatment period. HD's just HD plus a little better.
Okay. So let's talk about,
and that's the favorite, by the way, the HD plus, because even for women with small heads, they want to hit those
lower
temporal peaks. They want to hit the widow's peak. They want to get down on the sides.
Yeah.
So they love the HD plus. Comes way down on the head.
Yeah.
And the men with large heads.
And I love that it turns off by itself after 30 minutes. You don't have to think about it. It's literally, you snap it on, you put it on, and that's it. It just, you don't have to time it. There's no timing. There's no effort. It's effortless. It's dummy proof.
It's easy. I'm doing my treatment as we speak.
Yeah. So minoxidil and LaserCap, PRP and LaserCap, and we just discussed transplant and LaserCap. So minoxidil and LaserCap is a powerhouse, right?
Well, in any topical that you use, and I encourage the topical use at a minimum 5% men's liquid minoxidil for men and women. There's a foam for women at 5%, but it gets in the hair.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get on the scalp,
it's
not going where it needs to go. If it doesn't get through the percutaneous absorption, if it doesn't penetrate, it's not doing anything. I love a combination protocol where you apply the liquid minoxidil or whatever the topical is all over top of the head, then immediately wear LaserCap every night, 15 minutes every night. LaserCap, in addition to primary mechanism, warmth and occlusion. Warmth and occlusion increases topical absorption.
Love it. And the PRP, I work.
Well, PRP is an interesting procedure. There's all sorts of very flavors of PRP. 1 spin, 2 spin, adding exosome stem, exosome alone.
I know.
There's a lot out there. I think there's some good things happening. But that's kind of a one-time thing to kind of rev up a regenerative response. Pre-PRP, post-PRP, no PRP, everybody needs to medically treat.
Yes.
And so it doesn't eliminate the need for medical treatment. So everybody's got to get on LaserCap, topicals, supplement. There's some oral meds that folks can take on and off label. So.
All right. So before I wrap it up, I would like to ask you, what do you see for the future of LaserCap? Where is it going? Any changes?
Well, the hair loss is epidemic. It got a lot worse under COVID. There's a lot of COVID related hair loss, and then just people on Zoom all the time, like, oh my God, my hair's a mess. And so and there's a lot more awareness about photobiomodulation for hair regrowth, and so we're incredibly busy. Lots more folks are becoming trichologists, and I really encourage that. I mean, you're on the front line of hair loss. As I say, as I'm always looking at this statistic, historically less than 2% of hair loss sufferers see the physician.
I know.
Okay, 100% of women hair loss sufferers who care are in the salon. See the stylist.
You should be treating every day. Every day.
You see 100%. Less than 2% see the doc, and by that time it's late.
It's late, and it's a shame that cosmetology and trichology, they need to become one. They need to become one, because we're letting these people go, and and it's a shame, but I didn't know better. Now I know better, and I'm getting the education so that I can help anyone.
Exactly. So that's the future, is more education, getting more involved with the trichologists, with the stylist. And then higher energy devices. I've got experimental devices that are even higher energy. We feel that 4 joules per square centimeter. All right, that's a good place to be, but it's a biologic. It's a biphasic dose response curve. Okay, and all of those knockoffs do work. They're just grossly underpowered, so they're way down on the biologic effects curve. So the effect is poor. Okay, we're up much higher on the biologic effects curve. But it may be that we want devices that are even 5, even 10 times the energy, not 4, but 40 joules per square centimeter,
Right.
which I see in some applications, but these are, $10,000 laser systems, and they're not affordable for home use. So, but I'm working on devices that could put out that sort of energy and manage the heat. And could be for home use, but
these are really affordable. I mean, when you think of something you're going to use for your entire life, you start this at 35, and it's something we're going to do every other day. I tell everyone every day, because when you tell them every other day, it becomes every third day. You might just say every day, but when you look at that, it's pennies. I mean, we spend more in Starbucks, So
you got it. It's a great investment if you want to keep your hair.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me today. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. It was my first interview, so yay me.
Hey, you're a pro. You're a pro.
Thank you.
Painless.
What?
I didn't even know I was being interviewed.
Oh, see? It's like we're hanging out together.
Very good.
All right. Good. Well, have a great rest of your week, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.